appointment with Pastor Paul.
Oh, okay. And you are?
Monica and Terry.
Terry and Monica, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, whoops, where's she go? What? This is Terry and Monica.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Okay.
Terry and Monica are here to see you.
All right.
Hi.
Wow, fancy.
Oh, you guys have never been up here before?
No,
Not.
quite the
I'm
library.
good. How are you?
Hi, Terry. God bless you.
You too.
Hi.
Come on in. Do you guys
I'm
know
Monica.
Davalu?
No, I don't.
Nice
Hi,
to meet
nice to
you.
meet
I've seen you, and I've always admired your haircut. And now I'm.
It's not doing what I wanted to today, but thank you anyway.
Do you guys
Would
mind
anyone
if
like
we
water?
just sit on the couches?
Sure. You know, it's fine.
Yeah,
Or coffee?
water's good.
Or-
I mean,
I'm good with
water.
water. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' relation?
Well, Davalu is a member of Candlelight, as
Okay,
you
thank
probably
you.
all know. And she is part of a group of people that I meet with on a fairly regular basis for political advice.
Okay.
And briefings. As you know, I'm supposed to be a pastor, not a politician.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to do all the homework and research on everything political. And so every Monday morning they give me a briefing on
Okay.
everything going on, local, state, national, so that I have better information, you know, and so it's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Davalu, of course, has a legal mind. She's former FBI.
No, not the
I thought it was FBI.
HSI, Customs and
Oh,
Homeland
okay.
Security.
I thought it was
Yeah.
FBI.
Okay.
And so she always has amazing insights that are helpful to me. And that's why when I talked on the phone, I said, is it okay if I have somebody join us?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's why. And so, are you guys here on like official business? Are you working for Dan?
Well, we do know Dan personally now, but we're just here. We just wanted to really talk to you about it, basically.
Okay. All right.
So just kind of have like open conversation about like both candidates, really.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
And as far as like, because I know on the phone you had mentioned like legal counsel or legal representation. Is that like something that you're providing? Right
I'm not
now?
an attorney.
Okay.
No, but
Okay.
she helps me to be able to see and know things that I would not know on my own.
Okay.
Like certain claims.
Okay.
Somebody says, I'm going to do this. Well, can it even be done? You know, there's a lot of people that say they're going to do certain things.
Right.
And I've seen that in the national level like crazy. You know, and so I just want to have that extra help.
Okay.
You know, so she's not here to protect me.
Okay.
I'm not only was I in law enforcement for 30 years, but I was also, I've done analysis for like the Attorney General's office. I did that for 6.5 years.
Okay.
In a more civil kind of thing. But
Yeah.
my background is investigative and analytical and
Okay.
So
Is it easier for both of you if I'm sitting here, Monica? So you're not going back and forth? Whatever's good for you. Whatever's comfortable.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of used to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
my pillow
nice.
too, 'cause I'm
Short legs.
short.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm used to this setup, you know, because it happens to me all the time, so I'm comfortable.
Well, at least the other side.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
You've
know.
never been up here.
You would never know it's even tucked up here,
No.
so.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So you can just sit up here and view.
When we bought this building, you know, it was a field theater, and this didn't even have windows. It was just dropped off right into the lobby. And so we put in the windows, you know, it's a little safety valve, you know, but yeah. So it was a loft,
Yeah.
and it's turned into a good office space. And of course, we have all of our staff meetings in here, all of our elders meetings in here, and it's big enough to, you know, accommodate the 25 staff.
Yeah.
Pile in here every morning, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again for like letting us meet with you and setting aside this time because I know you've been super busy. So thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
And so I do have like a packet of just research for you in case
Okay.
you wanted to look at that. And I have like a few things here. I thought we'd kind of go like in order of the KCRCC vetting survey, just because that's kind of the candidates' own words based on the questions that they ask them.
Okay.
Is this the survey that they also post online on KCRCC?
I think
That's what
so.
you're talking about?
Yeah, it is online, correct? Okay, yeah, it's like, yeah, so all of what you have there, it's all available online. And then I'll like also kind of talk about just some stuff that's on Dan's website, that's on Norris's website, as well as Matari's website. But also, oh yeah. And just because, you know, it's kind of like, I guess I feel like this is more of like a private conversation. I just wanted to also mention like the religious privilege, I guess, statute of Idaho, just for confidentiality reasons, just because I don't feel like I need to share anything like outside of this room, and I'm hoping that it's the same for you guys.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with this.
I am not familiar with it, but typically, just, here's my legal brain picking,
Uh-huh.
a privilege only involves if he's counseling you
Okay.
or something like that, this
Yeah.
is a community conversation. This is not a pastor, you know, this is, and you started out by, we're here to have an open conversation about candidates.
Yeah.
And so, if it's an open conversation about what they publicly stand for and publicly believe, then it should be something that the community should already be aware of. So
Yes,
I don't know that that's even applicable for us. And
Okay.
if we're hiding stuff, then I think that's a breakdown in what this meeting's supposed to be all about. I think.
Right. No, yeah, there's nothing to like hide. I guess it's just more like, because I don't know you, and like I didn't know what was potentially going to be said outside of this room. But that's why I did bring the research, just so that everything is like right there and kind
So
of
is this stuff that Dan has never made public?
No, this is actually stuff that is public when it comes to like the North Idaho Slow Growth website, and then also things that can be found on Dan's website, as well as Bruce Matari's website, and then Bob Norris's website.
And
So-
are you the one that found that statute and brought
I-
it in?
I
or
did.
did Dan give it to you to bring
No,
it in?
I found this. Yeah, I don't know if you need
I'd
to
like
look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Just-
see why any of this would be privileged if it's not a public conversation. You know,
I guess
we're
just
learning
the-
from you and you're learning from us.
Yeah, I guess just the meeting itself would be considered privileged communication.
So the fact that we even met? I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was my impression that anytime you meet with like a pastor or something that's confidential. Kind of like when you go to the doctor's office, like what you say to the doctor is like confidential. Does that make sense?
I typically have that rule.
Mm-hmm.
I do maintain confidentiality for people, especially when we're dealing with things that are sensitive in nature.
Yeah.
We have some protocols here. A lot of times we do keep files and records that are also behind locked drawers or,
Okay.
you know, in some way secured.
Mm-hmm.
And so that happens, but we don't share things outside the room as a rule,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just don't pay a little taken aback that you lead with this.
Well, yeah, I didn't know
I
he
mean,
was
that's-
gonna be here. I didn't know he was
Well,
gonna be here. So.
regardless, I mean, if you
yeah.
want people to vote for Dan and you want to share how
Yeah, and I'm not-
just a little taken aback by that.
Sure, yeah, and I'm not here on like behalf of Dan necessarily. Like Pastor Paul and I talked on the phone. Just I wanted to show him some like more like factual information, really about both candidates. So that's why I'm here. But yeah, I'm not too sure like if this is like the right setting. Unfortunately, if I just don't know if things will be kept confidential.
Well, with me personally, absolutely, because you're asking me
Okay.
to keep things confidential. Although I would request that anything that's already public would not be considered private information.
Right.
Because if it's public information already, then the accusation could come against me that I'm the one that communicated that, and it may not be
Yeah.
true. And
Yeah.
so public
Okay.
information is still public information, so,
Okay.
all right?
I get
But
that.
if you share anything with me personal,
Okay.
that is your private information, you
Yeah.
have my word that it will be confidential.
Okay.
With the caveat of, and you have an obligation as well, if you divulge a crime that somebody's involved in,
Mhm.
or the abuse of someone,
Yeah.
that's a mandatory reported
Okay.
event. So that would be something that would have to.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can kind of get into a little bit of it then.
So,
All right. So the vetting survey. I don't know if you wanted to like kind of take a look as I get into it also. We'll start off just like you can kind of see if you even flip through it here, just Dan's answers and Norris's answers. Norris's answers, just like basically looking at the form, are short, which is not always an issue. But I just wanted to kind of, I guess, highlight some areas where I felt like maybe he didn't necessarily include all information, and it's just all based off of the packet and the research that I provided there. And so I guess we can kind of start off with that first question there. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how and your family, how long you have lived in the area, and your occupation. So that question, as well as if you flip to page 3, the question, what are your qualifications? I believe those two questions kind of go very well together because it kind of shows a lot about the candidates themselves. So the first question there, you can see that Dan, he really dives deep into just being like from this area, Spokane, moving to Kootenai County in 2020. He talks about his family. He's married, has 5 kids, 3 stepchildren, homeschool graduate, small business owner, reserve police officer with like experience for like 12 years. He's had several different awards and recognitions, and then he goes into like his hobbies and his interests, so more like personal level there. And then when you look at his qualifications, that's kind of where he dives deeper into like his 12 years of experience as a reserve officer. And he talks about how he held like a level 1 certification in advanced law enforcement rapid response, and numerous like tactical courses and all things like cop related. And then he also discusses his commercial like business as a contractor, how he's dealt with various contracts, private, medical, local, state, federal sectors, and how he's really had to like manage a lot of like money with all of that, and how that all applies to how it would be important to be sheriff. When you look at Norris here, when it comes to like the family and how long he's lived here and his occupation, he states that he's married, has children, grandchildren who live in Kootenai County. He's been in law enforcement for 33 years, so that's awesome. And then again here, as far as his qualifications, again he lists like his 33-year law enforcement background, so that's very good. Some things that I thought that were interesting to also like bring up, what is all included in his 33 years of law enforcement. If you take a look at like one of the packets, it's titled from the North Idaho Slow Growth there. It's titled Is Sheriff Norris Conservative or Rhino? It's on.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Yeah.
Can you explain to us who North Idaho Slow Growth is, who the board of directors is, if they're registered with the state, what they have?
I think it's just a private thing. I don't know if they have anything. I think it's like one person that runs it.
So, what significance do you place on something that's from, if it's just one person that runs it? Why is that person's information or opinion significant enough that you believe that? I'm just trying to
Yeah. I believe she's a researcher, and a lot of the like information she's found is actually confirmed on Norris's and Latari's website.
And a researcher for who? Does she have a background in that?
I don't know. I don't know her personally, to be honest.
Do you know her name?
I do not. Mm-mm.
Okay. Would you be surprised to hear her name is Teresa Roth?
No.
So
Yeah,
you do know
that
her.
is, yeah.
So
I
you
couldn't
know-
think of it off the
Okay.
top of my head. But yes, and if you look on the website, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's her name. Yeah.
All right. And are there any other, is she registered with the state? Is North Idaho Flood Road registered as a business with the state, or do they have a board of directors, or
I don't know.
is, okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. All I know is that the research that she has provided is also like found on Natari's and Norris's website as far as like their qualifications or like their bio, and she just looks more in depth, like she goes a little bit further.
Okay, so you said, and I'm a blind person. That's
Mhm.
that's what I am. And so you said you believe some of the stuff is on their websites. Have you gone point by point to try to compare it and see
I have.
and verify that everything she says is in fact on their website?
Not everything, but I have looked point by point.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So referring back to the article titled "Is Sheriff Norris Conservative or Rhino?" And this is again we're talking about his like qualifications when he says that he has 33 years of law enforcement experience, and this is actually found on his website too. He reports that he did work for like the LA Fusion Center, and that's included in Teresa's documentation there. And
Do you know
so
what a fusion center is?
it's I'm gonna kind of get into a little bit of that. Yeah.
Can I interrupt for just a minute? I was just thinking that it was, our understanding was if Paul had legal counsel here, that maybe they could just have a conversation and someone might be interjecting. I just didn't know.
I'm not legal counsel. I'm just
Yeah.
interjecting. I
Okay,
mean,
I
I can
just-
ask Paul if he knows. Do you know what a fusion center is?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't know who
Okay.
Teresa Roth is.
Mhm.
That's why she's here,
Okay.
because
To educate us.
I don't have time to get into the minutia of everything political. You know, that's not
It's a
my
lot.
role.
Yeah.
It
This
is a lot.
This is not an attack, and I know sometimes
Yeah,
I
I know.
have a tone of voice problem, but I know that we, in talking with him, he is so busy that oftentimes
Yeah.
he may not understand. And
Okay.
we who may understand this and have done our research,
Yeah.
we take for granted that it's just like agencies coming from the federal government. We use acronyms all the time.
Mhm.
And we just take for granted that people know what acronyms are. And they don't have a clue what we're saying because we're talking in acronyms.
Right.
Right.
So when you say fusion center, does everybody know what the fusion center is?
Right.
You know? And
Yeah.
So that's kind of important for him to understand where you're coming
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And even for you to understand, to make sure that you know what a fusion center is.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to people on both sides of the aisles on any number of topics,
Mhm.
and they'll say, well, X. Well, do you know what X is?
Right.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Or I think it's this when it's actually this.
Right.
And it's simply a misunderstanding of terms. And I think you'll see in our political campaigns now that oftentimes when we talk about, we use words, but we both are defining them differently.
Mhm.
And so therefore, we're like this because we don't have the same understanding. So that's all I'm trying to do is make sure that we're all understanding these terms and these people and these organizations the same.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
we're not adversarial.
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
No.
Okay. Yeah, and I just want to read like some of what's just there so that I don't like, misinterpret or miscommunicate any of the research because I'm wanting to read off the facts and that's it. Okay. So when we're talking about 33 years of law enforcement experience, so Norris has worked directly for the DHS-funded Fusion Center, and it's based in the LA region, also called the Joint Regional Intelligence Center. Okay.
Which page are you on?
This is like halfway down on page 2 of the article titled "Is Sheriff Norris Conservative or Rhino?" It was one of the first packets there.
Okay, I just
And
see
there's like
different colored font on
Oh,
yours.
yeah,
than-
sorry, I'm going off of, oh, here we go. Should be second page here. Okay. So just some of the highlighted areas up top there. So that's great. When you dive deeper into the research, we see that the trouble potentially with that is that the centers were created after 9/11, possibly for enabling the sharing of local law enforcement data with federal agencies, and to develop like federally controlled regional disaster plans. So that's kind of what if you look into Fusion Center, that's kind of what comes from that. Also with the secondary purpose to produce federally administered emergency management plans, or FEMA. So basically, when you look at what a Fusion Center is, it can be used to like centralize like law enforcement data collection, or to kind of like mainstream everything, which we can kind of get into that later. But then Norris was also selected to train at the Israel Mossad, which is sort of like the CIA equivalent of what we have here, as well as the Shin Bet, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is the FBI equivalent of what we have here too. And that's found on his website. He lists that there, and so I just wanted to also like put that like out there and include it in his law enforcement experience.
And let me, just for you, I think pretty much everything you said is right on. Fusion centers were created after 9/11 by DHS because the reason the DHS was created was because there was a breakdown in communication between agencies. Therefore, and it was mainly between the FBI and immigration. And they dropped the ball, and these terrorists got in the country, and then 9/11 happened. So it was an attempt for interoperability so we wouldn't have a natural disaster like that again. FEMA was also placed under DHS, so the Secretary of DHS, whether you like him or not, because I don't, it does contain FEMA, so that's a mandated responsibility. And any natural disaster also has to have intel sharing and has to have law enforcement response. So yes, the Fusion Center is comprised of all that. The Mossad training, that is on the website. All that stuff, and the sheriff has been through that. He said that publicly. That is, the Fusion Centers have an anti-terrorist component to them, and so the best training that anybody can get anywhere on how to prevent terrorism is through Mossad and through the Israelis, because they have probably been the one country on the face of the earth that has
experienced terrorism. Thank you. And then, okay, so when we get into the goals here that the candidates have for their term, and that's on page 5 of the vetting survey, we can see here when asked what the goals are, Norris responds with, continue to protect our rights and community, prepare community for growth and threats. Okay, so that's a little bit vague. That's okay. Dan's goals.
Forgive me for one thing.
Yeah.
This is the recent, right? The
vetting
before the primary.
Yeah, and so he's been through this before.
Who?
Bob.
Bob, yeah.
So I'm wondering if the 4 year ago version is more thorough.
Detailed? Yeah, possibly.
Because he might have already thought to himself, look, you guys already know all this.
Yeah.
And therefore this could be abbreviated just because he is thinking in expedition.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I don't
That's
know.
a good
I'm not
point.
defending anything. I'm just saying that came across my mind.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Okay. All right.
When we look at Dan's goals here, we can see like specifics. He says to maintain equal protection under the law for all citizens of Kootenai County, to develop an effective strategy for reining an in and out of control federal government, specifically concerning excessive force and unlawful warrants by federal agencies, to develop a reserve deputy program, to develop a citizens posse of vetted individuals to assist the sheriff's office in times of need to help maintain law, order, and security as mandated by law.
I'm sorry. I guess I wanted to reflect on that just for a second.
Sure, go ahead. I'm just looking for that old survey is what I'm doing. I'm not sure I'm going to find it.
The Reserve Deputy Program, I think that's self-explanatory. To develop a citizens posse of vetted individuals to assist the sheriff office in times of need to help maintain law, order, and security as mandated by law. I'm not being defensive or argumentative, but all of this looks to me like it is summarized in this brief. It's
Okay.
like one and the same.
Okay.
This is detailed, and that is just a introductory comment that could include all this.
Okay.
I'm just wondering about that. If it's even possible, if it's legal, if it's financial, if it's,
Mhm.
I mean, it seems to be like it would be highly unlikely to be reasonable in relationship to the liability problems.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
So, do you know, to try to fill that in so we'll understand, do you know what the purpose of the posse would be?
I believe Dan explains it on his website and on podcasts.
Okay, but you don't know, so you can explain it just because obviously we don't have time to listen to the podcast.
Right, and it sounds like he just wants like individuals with like a variety of experience, whether that's like medical experience, whether that's technology experience, business experience, just people to kind of like, I guess, be supportive, yeah, group, community.
Okay, and how is,
And well vetted.
and
Mhm.
how is that different than the, what's it called,
Special deputization?
no, the Kootenai County currently has the Sheriff's Department works with the emergency management, and they have a 200 member-ish volunteer group
Oh, right.
that already do like search and rescue, and
Yeah.
they're there to be stood up if there's a problem. They train and everything. How is that different?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I interrupted you. You can
Yeah.
continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. Okay, and then he goes on to describe he wants to formulate and execute proactive plans for dealing with illegal immigration and violent terrorists that have infiltrated our nation's borders, with the assumption that these are issues here or like soon will be in Kootenai County. He wants to combat the trafficking of humans, drugs, and illegal weapons. He wants to bring the community together. He wants to cut federal funding of the sheriff's office if it comes with unconstitutional strings attached. And he wants to honor the North Idaho culture and impartial enforcement of the law as written, as well as to stand against implementation of the disastrous policies afflicting California and the basically everything as far as like California. He doesn't want like it to happen here. He wants to take a stand against the government. So just very specifics there.
Do you mind if I ask a few more questions about that? Because I'd
No.
like to, or maybe even inform you of some things. Okay,
Yeah.
so he says he wants to institute a reserve program. Is that,
Yeah, so he was wanting to, develop a reserve deputy program.
okay, so there was something that passed in the legislature this last session that, and I don't have it, but it somehow put a wrench in the reserve program. So the reserve program and POST is the academy that law enforcement attends in the states. And so all those standards and that academy is administered through legislation by the state. And something happened legislatively that caused POST, even though Reserve Academy is still on their website, they are not holding any, and they won't even answer any questions about reserves right now, because apparently that legislation put something at odds. And also, reserve officers in the state of Idaho have to be employed and paid. They're not free, and that's by statute. So that
Foreign
obviously is in
liabilities,
exactly.
insurance.
Exactly. So just so you
Yeah,
understand.
I do get that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
good.
And I did find Norris's. This is the one from the paper. I didn't find the KCRCC
Okay.
one, but it's got like all his schools. It's a much more.
I had a feeling
Much
that might be
more
the case. I hadn't
robust.
seen
Okay.
either.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in a way, because and by this point, he probably thinks, look, you guys already know what I'm doing,
Okay.
so to be abbreviated. And of course, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and again, I don't know this to be a fact, but I think he has the endorsement of the KCRCC.
Who, Bob?
Bob.
As a Republican,
Yeah.
he got the endorsement before Dan changed parties.
Two independent.
And
Yeah.
Dan is now running as an independent.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm only thinking about the nature of why the statement is brief compared to elaborated upon, and I get it. If I were Dan, I would elaborate too, because nobody knows anything about what he thinks.
Right.
Whereas maybe Bob thinks everybody knows what I believe already, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All
To
right.
new people, though, that could be a little bit of a bummer, though, if it's not elaborating.
If they're not paying attention.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
And Monica, just to let you know, I have a ton more questions, but I'm not going to ask them because I don't want to take up all the time.
Okay.
But I think those statements are awesome.
Yeah.
I think anybody wants to do that. But then the question is, how do you do that?
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I can say that I want to be queen of the world, and it may sound good, but is it even possible for me to do that?
Yeah.
So there are some underlying issues with some of those things that the probability of a local sheriff even being able to do that is called into question, whether it's immigration enforcement,
Okay.
because immigration enforcement rests in the authority of the federal government, and that's constitutional.
Okay.
And the only way that a local sheriff or even a police department can administer any kind of immigration authority is to be delegated that from the federal government. And the federal government, since Obama, has not delegated that authority to anyone except jails and prisons.
Okay.
And so it's not like, so when you say I'm gonna, you know, or I'm gonna keep this terrorist free, or that sounds great, and we all want that. But I think what we want to understand is how. And how is that different than what the incumbent is already doing? Or
Yeah.
what's wrong with what the incumbent's doing that makes Dan's plan better? But there's no plan. I mean, I'm gonna do it. I'm Dan, I'm gonna do it. And I love that. But how?
Forgive me, I think that's well stated. And with my experiences, I told you this on the phone, Bob and I have been working together now very closely for last few years. And for example, in this particular context, we've worked together on this, and I am now more aware than I ever was before on what he legally can and cannot do.
Okay.
But even then has been very proactive in doing what I've asked him to do, which has been, I think I told you on the phone that you know, he's never let me down.
Right.
I realize that there are people that have been disappointed for a lot of reasons, but my personal issues, you know.
Okay.
Example, there was a busload of people being dropped off, and I called them and I said, hey, go check it out. He went over, checked it out, they were all legal. But they wouldn't look legal to me. And if they weren't legal, what are you going to do? You know, and so he's thought this through as well, you know, and I get it. And I do appreciate it, that there is some sense of protectiveness. Were you here last night for church?
I was not.
Yeah. One of our veterans went like nuts. And I had to hold back my own emotions because the illustration I used was, you know, we got a major illegal immigration problem, and our borders being wide open, and now with all this nonsense you're hearing from Kamala Harris. At what point do we end up reacting in a way that we cannot exercise? I mean, my emotions are we going to wait till they're busting down my front door? You know, at what point do I say, no, you're not coming into my house? The reaction of the American population that are conservative feel the same way about the border. Nearly to the point where we're going to say, well, we're going to just create our own army. And we're going to go position ourselves, and our snipers are going to take you out if you cross our border. And you realize you can't. You know, unless we're ready to have a civil war. And of course, none of us want that. And so these things make me very nervous. And inciting that kind of emotion in our populace. I'll use an illustration because my wife and I were talking about this gosh, I think it was maybe in 2020
Yeah.
when we were COVID, everything was crazy. And, you know, Brenda and I were talking about, you know, Civil War and what could be taking place in the neighborhoods and so forth. And I told her, I says, I want you to put this in perspective. Are you willing to shoot David?
Mhm.
David lives next door to me.
Okay.
He is my neighbor, and he's a liberal.
Mhm.
And he would be my adversary. And all of a sudden, you sober up really quick when you think about the horrifying nature. I mean, nobody in their right mind should ever want a civil war.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's inevitable in some ways in my mind.
Yeah.
But oh man, so
Yeah. I know.
admittedly, this is my first comment that I'm going to say. It scares me a little
Yeah.
to have a
the
guy
point
like
that-
Dan incite that kind of thinking,
Okay. Okay.
because I don't know that he knows what he's saying. And there is a Bundy-like spirit on that. Do you know what I mean
Okay.
by that? Do you know what I mean by Bundy?
The guy who is running for
Governor,
yeah,
and some of the family issues that they've had in their properties and so
Yeah.
forth, and friends of mine that went to prison.
Mhm.
I mean, one of my very closest friends for many, many years was Todd Engel.
Okay.
Do you know Todd Engel?
I don't.
He went to prison for a long time. Do you know Todd?
I've heard the name, but I don't know him, no.
I
don't
led
know
him to the
nothing.
Lord. I discipled him,
Uh-huh.
and he had this, what I would call the Bundy spirit, if you want to use that terrible expression, which now I'll ask for confidentiality as well.
Mhm.
And I used to try to talk him off the line all the time. I said, dude, you got to stand down. You can't do this.
Mhm.
Until finally, when the Bundy Ranch issue came up, he was there.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting everything he owned seized. Went to
Okay.
prison for many years. And I remember, sorry, this is emotional for me,
No.
really emotional for me, because I led him to the Lord and I discipled him.
Mhm.
I sat outside of that prison in Lompoc, California, I think it was. And my wife and I sat there and I prayed for him and just wept and wept and wept, knowing that the guy that I led to Christ was behind those doors for trying to do what he believed.
Mhm.
But he went about it the wrong way and overreacted to the point where he ended up going to federal prison for years. He's now out,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
But wow,
Yeah.
I don't want us to become incited,
Okay.
you know, and it makes me nervous. And I realize that I get it. This is why I brought up last night. Sorry, I'm taking too much time.
You're good.
When the veteran spoke up, and by the time he had the microphone, you know, we do live Q&As on Wednesdays. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our Wednesday night formats, but
Yeah.
he didn't ask a question. He went on a rant.
Oh.
And then he finally brought it around to a question like, what are we going to do?
Right.
And of course, my first question is, I'm a theologian.
Yeah.
This is a Bible study we're having here, not, you know, how are we going to protect our borders? But everything in me was, even as calmly as I want to approach these things, legally, ethically, morally, biblically, I lean right in hard.
Mhm.
That's why I said, if it was my front door, what would I do?
Right.
You know, that's why I want to tell Nancy Pelosi, take the front door off your house. And if you're going to talk about this like that, then take down the gates and take down your security and just let them come move into your living room.
Right.
Because that's exactly what she's doing on a larger scale, and we don't see it that way.
Mhm.
But man, we can't react poorly.
Mhm.
It requires so much careful, legal, ethical, moral thought.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
that one, I'm sorry, I'm capitalizing on it. That
That's okay.
scares me to death
Okay.
of a guy
Yeah.
like Dan Wilson, because
Okay.
he's going to get the guys that are just right on that edge. They're going to go over and do the Todd Engel factor,
Okay.
and man, that worries me. Is that okay to say it that way?
No, I think it is okay to say that. Well, and the problem when you brought up about Norris talking to the people on the bus, it is actually, they're not even authorized to ask somebody what their citizenship is. unless they're processing into
Yeah.
the jail as part of their bio, and if the person doesn't want to tell them, they don't have to tell them.
I don't
But-
know that he did
Well,
that
no, but I'm just
exactly,
saying,
yeah.
I'm not saying that he did anything
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
I'm saying that, and I watch the news all the time, and we talk about, we talk about illegal aliens. The problem is that this administration, these people who come across the border, have actually given them status. So they're legally
Now they're
here.
legal, yeah.
So you can't, you're purple, I'm sure you came across the border, you're from XYZ country, we're going to deport you. Because this administration has given them refugee status or asylum status or whatever.
Horrible.
So it doesn't matter whether it's Dan or Bob or me, nobody can deport these people because they're here legally.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have an immigration problem, but this administration has made it almost impossible for anybody to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just crazy.
Were
Yeah.
you guys here when we had Jim Jordan and Russ Fulcher the other day?
No.
Oh, that was great.
You missed out, man.
That was great.
Because they hit on this pretty hard, too. So.
Yeah. I heard that was
So
good.
just to
Okay.
clarify that, it doesn't matter who the sheriff is. If the person's legal and they've got papers, we may not like it, but that's what the Biden administration has
Yeah.
done to us.
Yeah.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
if they can find that there is a crime committed, or if they're
Yes.
involved in, say, like
100%.
trafficking of drugs or trafficking of certain money, or the way they're being brought here, if that's illegal, or anything that they're involved in, that's kind of the way that they can work into it. And that's something that Dan has very much expanded on his podcast, which has
Yeah.
been very good to hear.
Well, I definitely think that's something that Bob and Dan share in common, because
Agreed.
that is what the sheriff is
100%.
doing now.
It's high on his register. you know,
Okay.
priority list, even though it's not articulated.
Listed, yeah. Okay.
That's why I wanted to mention it, because I know him and I know the way he's functioning in that arena.
Okay.
And so, anyway, I have taken a lot of your time now, so I'm going to...
No, you're good.
But we
Yeah,
are
you're
getting
good.
invaded, and it's just like, we throw up our hands, like you say, what are we going to
Well,
do about
even
it?
your comment, if they came in here illegally, they did.
Right. Yeah, or like
And
who's
so
bringing them? That's what
we're
we need
still
to find
stocked
out.
up. We know who.
Well, if we have like more, I guess, local involvement of bringing them here, that potentially is a way to research into that more.
But what is the violation of law that a local sheriff can arrest somebody on or can enforce on somebody that's smuggling? Because that's a federal statute that's reserved for federal law enforcement.
Mhm.
Like it or not, constitutional or not,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And I don't
Okay.
like it, but actually
Yeah.
constitutionally it says that. But even the way that it's been interpreted through the courts over the years,
We
That's
have
the way
a
it
much
is.
bigger problem than we can solve locally.
oh yeah.
And
And
the
that-
courts is a big start. Sorry, Terry, go
That's
ahead.
how word is interpret.
Yeah.
Because I've actually worked on human smuggling cases where people were being smuggled across the border and then on into the interior. And so what that would take to get it prosecuted with the U.S. Attorney's Office would be you have to have two witnesses out of that group. They automatically get a visa to testify. And then they get bond
Mm-hmm.
and then they show up to testify. And their visas can be canceled, but where are they? You can't find them.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's even hard for the federal government to do it
Mm-hmm.
Because of the broken system.
because of the laws.
By the time they catch
lack
and
of
release, they have a
enforcement.
court date that's 3 or 4 years from now.
Yeah.
They have a free
Yeah.
pass for 3 or 4 years. Doesn't matter
Right.
what they do now, unless
Right.
they break our current laws.
And
Right.
immigration judges are administrative judges,
Uh-huh.
and so they're appointed. So you know what that means.
Right.
They're appointed by an administration that has a bent one way or the other.
Yeah.
So if you continue with a liberal president, vice president administration, the continuation of liberally appointed judges is going to continue. So all these people that have this temporary status in the United States to be here, when their court date does come up in front of that judge, what do you think's going to happen?
Okay.
That they're going to be liberally interpreted to, oh yeah, you have asylum, or oh yeah, you have whatever, and you can stay here. And so that's something that you can't fix short of federal legislation, and you can't it's frustrating. We can't do anything about it. And you can arrest all the bodies you want to. So let's say somebody commits an assault, and Dan or Bob arrest them and find out they're illegal. So one of two things will typically happen. So if for some reason that person is given bond to await those charges in court, if ICE doesn't take them, well, ICE can take them and deport them, which means those charges stay outstanding and they never serve prison time for that crime. They're never held accountable. Or they come in, they're probably going to be given bond because the system's broken and most people make bond. And they're going to abscond and they'll never stand for those charges. If they do stand for those charges and go to prison, once they're out of prison, depending on what the administration, the federal administration's priorities are, they may be released right back out on the street illegally, and nobody will deport them. Because if the federal government doesn't deport them, I can't take them down there. You know, I'd love to take a bus and take And just a little another caveat that a lot of people don't understand. And I just recently explained this to my husband because he didn't understand that. So if you have a person here that's illegally here from, let's say, Cuba, the only way that we can send them back is if we have a treaty to go through with that person. Cuba won't take them back. We can't send them back. If they're from Honduras, but they don't have any travel documents, we have to work government to government to get that person issued a passport showing that they're a citizen of Honduras before we can repatriate them to Honduras. And we can't kick them through Mexico because Mexico's going to want to see their travel documents. They don't belong to Mexico. So we have people that are either sitting in immigration detention right now or that are out on bond from immigration that'll probably be here the rest of their lives because we can't send them back to their country because that's the political arm of this. So this is so much bigger than we can't fix this locally. We can arrest everybody that's breaking the law. And I think that's great, and we should, because it'll discourage people to not come to our community. And I think that Bob has tried to do that. I think Dan has the intention to do that. But the reality is, no matter what you do, you're either going to hopefully teach that person that they can't live in the community and commit crimes, go somewhere else, which now becomes somebody else's problem. But you can't fix the fact that they're illegal and get them out of the area because they're illegal.
As much as we hate it.
So that's just unfortunately the reality of how broken the federal government is.
Okay. All right.
So, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's okay. I'll kind of segue into a different question here. It's going to be on page 7. It's asking, do you have any history of tax liens, criminal record, bankruptcy, or conflict of interest that may affect your future decisions or desirability to be voted into office? I figured this is a good one to kind of go over now, just since we were talking a little bit about like that Bundy mindset type of thing and citizen posse and stuff. So Dan, he says no, he's never filed for bankruptcy, he's never had like any handouts from the government. As a former police officer and licensed armed security contractor, he's taken like polygraph tests, psych evaluations, background investigations. No criminal record has been found. No conflicts of interest. So good. Norris, he also says none. So nothing there. Just something though I'd like to point out is that he has deputized people, and this is specifically like from his website. So it's nothing crazy that I found anywhere else. And this is actually from Matari's website. On Matari's website, it states that in 2019, I became Sheriff Bob Norris's campaign manager and am now a special deputy advisor to him. Okay? So Norris swore Matari in as special deputy advisor after taking office in early 2021. And according to Matari's website, the Sheriff's Office Employee Association unanimously endorses Bruce Matari for commissioner. That was at the time of all of that campaigning. If you look at an article from the Coeur d'Alene Press, I had trouble printing it out, but you can look it up. It's on the Coeur d'Alene Press from November 19th. Both Bruce and Bob were interviewed for this article, and they talk about the special deputizations. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I do feel like that is a conflict of interest, having special deputization given to a commissioner, when he points out that there is no conflict of interest, so that's why I'm highlighting this part. And so at the time of the article, it's quoted in the article, it says, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office has 325 special deputies or special deputy advisors, and that was according to the public records obtained by the press. So it's quite a bit, which is very interesting. I didn't think it was going to be that many special deputies, and I don't know if that number has changed because this was written back in November. Okay, and then
Was it
kind of...
November last year?
It may have been. I didn't write down the year, but yeah, it may have been. So I'm thinking that
Would
could have
that
changed quite a
include
bit.
the actual deputies and or civilian deputized people that work like in the DMV and that kind of thing?
I'm not sure because there's
Yeah,
also...
that's my question. I do
Mhm.
have that article here.
Okay.
Out of the press, yeah.
Because there's also another quote here that says, Norris said the majority are law enforcement officers who have completed the post-certification program that we were talking about a little bit ago. But his office also utilizes special deputies who are not post-certified. So
Right.
some are, some not.
Civilian, yeah.
Yeah.
Because don't all the employees that work in the Department of Motor Vehicles, aren't they all sworn?
I don't know the answer to that question, and I think my question
might
is...
be
and-
part of
Okay.
it. I don't know the answer to this question. I know partial answer. I don't know what it means to be a special deputy. Because
Right.
I have asked Sheriff Norris point blank,
Mm-hmm.
does Matari have access to the database, the law enforcement databases?
Right.
And he told me no. I have asked that of other people in the sheriff's department about that cross or that, and it's not a cross designation. It's
Okay.
an advisory deputization.
Okay.
So cross designation is different, at least historically in my mind, from what I've been through. So the like NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center database, restricts who can even have access to that.
Yeah.
And like when a dispatcher, when a call comes in from a deputy or a police officer on the street, can you run XYZ? They put in the designator for that officer so that it creates an electronic log that can be researched later if somebody runs something they shouldn't.
Sure.
So, because I'm like, you mean this guy? I was concerned
Yeah, that's
because
a major
of the way
concern.
that people had presented it.
Yeah.
Does this guy have access to this? And I was told by the sheriff and others that that is not what that is. That I was told that the status was so that for that particular instance, so that Bruce could attend some of the meetings that the sheriff had to attend where there might be information that wouldn't normally be released to the public that he could hear. And that's what I was told. But I keep hearing this special deputy thrown around, but nobody can seem to define what that is or what the process is. Is it on an honorary title? What does it entail?
Yeah.
So what is Dan's understanding of what that is?
I don't know. I haven't heard him use the term special deputization unless he's referring to this instance.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is very concerning in my opinion, just because I know here it also is quoted by Norris that special deputies do sign a non-disclosure agreement, of course, and so like they can't really speak on behalf of what they do with the sheriff's office or not, but it is concerning just because he was Norris's campaign manager and did get elected as commissioner and is still a special deputy. And Norris does point out here that he is like, let's see, I don't want to miscommunicate this, that basically he's like the only person of like political status who is a special deputy right now. And Norris and Matari, Norris said that Matari advises him on a case-by-case basis, so yes, you're correct about that. Anything to do with messaging, including some news releases, Matari said his role involves just trying to get it right when it came to the community. So again, yeah, it's just a very, I don't know, unique, I guess, opportunities of advising the sheriff, which is just seems like that to me is a very much conflict of interest that is not outlined here.
Well, it definitely started out, the relationship started out before Matari became a commissioner.
And that's suspicious. I believe that could be suspicious.
Okay, why?
I mean, you kind of wonder if you start to backtrack a little bit, like intentions. Just why are they like, I don't know, buddied up in that?
He was his campaign manager.
Right.
And
That
in
is
politics,
suspicious.
campaign managers and everything based on
Yeah.
and if it's for the purpose of being, I mean, if he's his campaign manager, he's going to work with him in areas where we may be talking about, well, Davalu is, you know, we're going to have to conduct a SWAT raid on Davalu's house, you know, and if Matari happens to be sitting in or happens to overhear that because he's accompanying the sheriff, you wouldn't want that out. So the special deputization would, according to what was even said in the news that I'm looking at, would allow Matari to be part of that, but then not disclose. Law enforcement doesn't disclose. You know, so, and the public should not know everything the law enforcement is doing, because otherwise they could never conduct an investigation. Now, with Matari, the sheriff came from California, Matari came from Virginia. They didn't know each other until they got there.
Okay.
And I don't know how they became friends or how they became involved with that first campaign. But I don't know if what I'm trying to understand what makes that suspicious.
I guess just also that the fact that he's continued to have like special deputization after both were voted into office, but I don't know what time it is. I'm sorry, but I don't know if we should like move on.
We probably should. I'll at least give you this comment from me personally.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So don't feel that I would be defensive about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to like
I was
point
also
that part out,
sworn,
but
as a sheriff chaplain, and that's special deputization, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I was in the offices. I heard everything. I saw everything. I did ride-alongs. I didn't do jail. I was a patrol chaplain, and so I kind of understand all that stuff. But my position here, and you're saying that this stuff all stays in the room, I'm kind of comfortable saying this to you. I don't like it.
okay. You don't like
I don't
that.
like the tight relationship.
Oh, okay.
Between the
Yeah.
two. In fact, and Bob knows this. I've told him to his face, eye to eye, and I also advocated strongly for John Padula
Yeah.
to be on the county commissioners, and even though he did not win, even in my conversations with Bob after the election, when now Eberline is the guy, which was not the guy that Bob wanted.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
happy that Eberline won, not Bob's guy, because I was wanting to be certain that there was some check and balances there.
Yeah.
Now, you asked another question. Why? Why would that work? There is a very simple answer, and this is going to sound like something that I am opposed to Bob about. And I'm not blind. I don't see him as an angel walking on clouds. He wants the power. He wants to be able to get done his agenda, some of which I really like. I'm looking ahead at some of your notes, and yeah, we're limited on time about the budget and all the increases of the budget. I am applauding him for that, and I know that would be exactly the opposite of what you would probably want. I want him to pay those deputies more. I want them to get more money. I want them to improve their serve. And so this is, again, where you might end up with a conflict of concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't even keep a deputy in this town because they were getting paid worse than an elementary school teacher
Yeah.
who's getting paid worse than a garbage collector.
Right. I
What
get
the
that.
heck's wrong with us?
Yeah.
You know, and so you better believe I want him to have a bigger budget.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
get
so- And I realize that the county commissioners have power.
that. Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm not advocating for or against, but I understand a human motive.
Mm-hmm.
And if he has a human motive and he has an agenda and he wants to accomplish it, he's going to look for people that he can work with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happened. And this is also why I say check and balance. Let's not have a monopoly.
Yeah.
And which is one of the reasons I was after Padula.
Right.
Because I knew that Padula would be the tension in the room, as if Leslie isn't already.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally endorse everything that you just said.
Okay.
Everything. The problem is, a lot of people don't understand perception is reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be absolutely nothing nefarious about anything,
Right. But it
but if
looks
it looks bad,
Yeah.
suspicious.
you know,
Yeah.
because I know personally that it was brought up to Matari that the perception looked bad between him and God, and that as a county commissioner, he should not be involved in Norris's campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And the response, basically, there's no law against it.
Yeah.
And the state of Idaho does not have an ethics commission, so you can't even report what appears to be an ethics violation.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It doesn't
there's
mean
no.
we have to like it.
We don't like it. And do I like that relationship? No. And, yeah, I don't,
Yeah, we're probably on the same team there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what time it is. I haven't
11
been
o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had an hour.
Okay.
But let me be generous and gracious to you, and let me just extend another 10 minutes for
Sure.
bullet points. Go for
Okay.
it.
Just quickly, I'll
Yeah,
just
and we'll-
kind
and
of
we'll try to-
cover.
We'll try to leave you be so that you
Okay. So kind of also talking on like Matari and Norris. Another concern in just bringing up budget, which I totally agree. Like, I mean, I think that law enforcement should be paid better also. I mean, they're putting their lives on the line. But when you look further into like or more recent things that have happened, and this is also in a packet there, you don't have to flip to it if you don't want to, but I'll just read some
You're
stuff.
going to let me keep this, right?
Yes,
Packet.
for sure.
Thank you.
So this is in the North Idaho Slow Growth article titled like the questioning of the sheriff's helicopter and then who is behind the sheriff's helicopter. That's concerning just because that has required more money, not only from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, but they donated $100,000 towards this helicopter, but then have also taken like $500,000 of private donation money for this helicopter. That's of concern just because the Spokane air unit that is available to be used is only available to us for like $10,000 a year. So when we're talking budget issues, that is a big concern. If he's asking for an increase potentially in budgets and this is the way it might be handled, that's a very big concern.
I can only say this about that. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
But even in that context, I don't want to rely on Spokane. I want us to be equipped, and I think it's kind of cool that he raised $500,000 from private donors. I mean, again, I don't know the minutia, so I don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
But I will at least say that I'm not really a big fan of us trying to be partners with Spokane.
Okay.
Who I
Yeah.
affectionately call Spokompton.
And it's interesting too because I don't know you may know like the name of the helicopter guy here. I think it was Mark Ellis, but I believe he has a brother also in Spokane who directly works with the same kind of thing.
He does.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
do you know their relationship?
I don't know at all. But yeah, I know that I guess the Spokane helicopter is readily available. It's only 25 miles away, but I don't know how that all works like on the job, but I'm just kind of highlighting here just some recent things that have been going on with the budget, as well as like the private donors. If you were to look a little bit into the private donors, there is some concern as far as them being out of state and just some other things that they're potentially involved with as far as their business and personal life. So strings come attached with those kind of donors, especially if it's going to be privately funded.
What strings?
Yeah, what's the,
Okay, let me see here. So there's a guy by the name of Terry Forrester. He's one of the donors of the helicopter. I believe, okay, yeah, he is the owner of Labor Consultants International, which is a company that actually provides what is called an H-2 visa for, like, illegal immigrants to be able to work.
Sounds ranch.
Yeah, and yes, and so he is actually the guy who provides these visas to Idaho corporations. So we have someone who's potentially involved in like a bigger problem with illegal immigration,
So
who's
what's-
privately funding.
What's illegal about that?
It's not illegal. It's just, it kind of brings up a little bit of a red flag when you start to look at the private donors, if they're involved in certain things that might not necessarily be like conservative or align with what Bob claims to be like conservative or Republican.
So H-2B visas are legal immigration.
Okay.
Just.
Oh yeah,
FYI.
sorry, I
That is legal
misspoke.
immigration,
Yes.
and that
Yeah.
there are a certain number of visas that are issued by the State Department. The
Mhm.
State Department issues visas.
Okay.
So neither the Sheriff's Department nor Terry issue visas, but yes, Terry is, it is a nonprofit, just so you know, the helicopter is a nonprofit. And they raise funds. The Sheriff's Office gave $100,000 of asset forfeiture money, which is federal money for things that they seize. You seize a car, they can share that back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the $10,000 that they normally would give
It
Skokie.
wasn't our tax.
Yeah.
It wasn't our tax bill.
Yeah, I guess the concern there is if there were other things that needed to be potentially worked on in the future, if that would impact like taxes or things like that. But we don't know. But that's just something.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another thing too, the Coeur d'Alene tribe, they contributed $200,000 towards this helicopter. And that's just kind of an interesting side note because basically after that had happened, they were also requesting at the same time a rezoning of acreage there, and Bruce Matari, being commissioner, did grant that rezoning, even though a lot of their like locals there were very much against it. So we can kind of see like a little bit of the intermingling of Matari there also granting something to them after receiving funds.
Potential.
Yes, yeah. And so that's
you,
just
you
something
do
to
know
keep
that the
note.
Coeur d'Alene tribe gives away millions of dollars every year to everybody.
Yes,
And do you know that the Coeur d'Alene tribe, they're a sovereign nation in and of themselves?
right,
Okay.
right.
They're on equal footing with the federal government.
Yes, yep.
I don't want to derail you, but interesting side note.
Mhm.
They gave a bunch of money to Coeur d'Alene High School.
Okay,
And
yeah.
the Coeur d'Alene High School has their logo burned into their football field.
Uh-huh.
And they removed the cross.
Oh.
And I had a meeting with the
Yeah.
attorney for the Coeur d'Alene tribe early this week, I think it was. And I told him about that, and he went ballistic.
Mhm.
He said they cannot remove the cross from our logo because the Coeur d'Alene, if you go right over here to Coeur d'Alene High School and walk on that football field and look at the logo, the cross is missing.
Wow.
And
yeah.
I mean,
That's
That's crazy.
it's
Very
you talk about some
disappointing.
crazy stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course, then I was meeting with him about the parade.
Oh yeah.
You know, I made a bunch of noise about that. A bunch
Yeah.
of us did. A lot of us did.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
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 And then a couple more things to mention. So there's a question here basically asking them which political party they most likely like align with, like which platform. They both answer Republican, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things here. Norris, on his website, he does support a couple of programs which sound really good, but again, according to like the research, when you look into them, one is called Fight Crime, Invest Kids. Now, he publicly states, as sheriff, the safety of our community is my top priority. We can help stop crime before it even happens by making sure young people are growing up healthy, safe, and educated. When they have a great start, they will have a better shot at a future. So that's really great, okay? When we look at, the foundations of that program, we actually see that the research shows that the program encourages federal interference of early childhood education. It is promoted by the Council for a Strong America, which unfortunately bribes law enforcement organizations for federally funded social services and early childhood education. So we can just see like that's not necessarily like aligning with the Republican value, even though it sounds good, and maybe he thought it was supposed to kind of be a helpful thing, but I don't know.
I don't know anything about that counsel. Where's the verbiage that you're reading off of? Where did that whose interpretation or of that website or that organization is that?
Okay, that is on that was the first article we covered. That is Norris a conservative or a Republican or Rhino?
That's from Teresa Roth.
Yep, and she researched the platform Fight Crime Invest Kids, and she looked into all of like the foundations of that, and she has it on her website.
Okay.
Yes, correct. And then we were just talking about the H-2 visas. Norris is very much a supporter of like that. He states here in a recent video clip in March, he made like public comment about 3 minutes and just supporting that. And then that's kind of where I mentioned the Terry Forrester guy and like how potentially it could be, I don't know, I guess more suspicious if he is the one who's in fact like providing these to Idaho corporations, and it could potentially be sort of in a roundabout way enabling illegal immigration. I know that people probably have their own opinions on that.
Department of Homeland Security?
Well, the State Department issues visas.
Yeah.
And CISF, under the Department of Homeland Security, works with them. So,
just for your information on that,
Okay.
sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah.
We've gone through that process with Austin, Pastor Austin.
Okay.
It took us 3 years to
Mhm.
get everything done. And we had to hire lawyers to get him his R1 visa.
Yeah.
And so he's here legally, otherwise it would be an illegal,
Yeah.
refugee. And he literally was running for his life. We rescued him out of Thailand, when he had already
Wow.
left from Pakistan.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted to kill him. It's terrible. So I'm not sure I dislike that.
Okay.
I'm just giving you,
Yeah.
my thought of this.
Okay.
and I've heard Norris say that in many things, that he supports people that get H-2B,
Yeah,
an H-1B and an H-2B visa, because it's the legal way to do things.
Right.
It's not illegal immigration to get an H-1B and an H-2B visa.
I
Yeah.
got a
So-
question for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, you're
Um,
good.
Is Dan Wilson a white supremacist?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah.
What's his position on Israel?
I don't know. We
I would
haven't
like to
really
know.
actually spoken to him about
Ask
that
him.
before. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you why I'm concerned about it. Because
Mhm.
I see some of the strongest supporters and the noisy ones that are anti-Semites.
Okay.
And that terrifies me.
Okay.
I have.
You have?
I've listened to him enough to know that I dislike him a lot. Because he is bad-mouthing constantly. And I don't like that kind of campaign. In fact, I've had this conversation with many people, and you guys know that people generally, I told you this, I told you, I apologize, it sounds arrogant. Almost everybody that runs for office comes and sees me personally. They make an appointment, they get into my office. Dan's was a one-liner email. I told you, if you want to get to know me, here's how to get a hold of me. I don't pursue them. They pursue me. And when I see any of these people, doesn't matter who they are, I always tell them, campaign on what you do, not what the others don't do.
Okay.
Talk about the positive things you want to bring to our community, not the negative things you think others are doing. And Dan is a mudslinger, and I dislike it a lot.
Okay.
And I don't want to see Bob do that, and Bob knows it. I've told him to his face, take the high road. Don't go there. Don't get into a pissing match with this guy. And to me, when I have watched Dan, even the front page of his website is a documentation of everything that he hates about Bob Norris.
Okay.
Right on the
I
front
see
page.
I don't think you
It is. I've seen it. Now, maybe they've changed it. But I've looked at his website twice. And both times I looked at it, it was a Bob bashing website. And I don't go there. That just doesn't work for me. Not to mention, now I'm going to be a jerk. Because I know you're here to try to get me to pay attention to Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson has not done a thing to get my attention.
Okay.
He has not called, asked for an appointment, offered to take me to dinner, to lunch. He's not wined and dined me.
Yeah.
And you know what? it sounds arrogant, but that doesn't fly with me. If you want my attention,
Okay.
come and talk to me.
Okay, yeah.
And I would like to put him on the hot seat. I'd like to put him on on a stool in front of this church, and
Yeah.
say, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions, and
Right.
we're going to answer it. And that's the way I want to approach it. Not
Sure.
go through all the potentials of what might be, or it looks funny, or it's a potential.
Okay.
Forgive me. I love
No,
you.
yeah,
I love you.
I get it. I get. And
But-
that's what I was gonna get to next.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
I get that.
My turn to be quiet.
No, you're fine. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I also wanted just to shed light more about like what Norris's experience has been and just some of my concerns. I mean, really, even more so than like I'm not here on behalf of Dan. Just both candidates. I wanted to compare it, and I thought this was a good like way to go about it.
Okay, before
But-
you go further with another person, I would at least get the one that he did 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I
good
don't
idea.
believe that if you read this consistently, these short answers are the bullet point
Mm-hmm.
of the elaborated and exhaustive same thing.
Okay.
You know, none, one word versus a paragraph. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Same thing. And so in contending for Dan, if that was your
Mm-hmm.
agenda, think that through.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I get
can
it.
we still be friends after?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, of course, there's no problem.
And they will tell them, I hate politics.
He does.
Yeah,
I hate it. I don't want to. I don't want to fight with anybody. I don't
No,
want
I
our
get that.
community divided like this.
yeah,
You know, even the Idaho rejects hate stuff and my outspoken. I have appealed to them just to think.
mhm,
Do you hate heroin addiction? Do you hate rape? Do you hate, don't say carte blanche, Idaho rejects hate.
mhm,
That isn't thinking. I want us to think
yeah,
because our community deserves it.
mhm,
Yeah, everybody deserves
Amen.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, and the last thing you're saying public on stage. So I'm gonna mention like the debate and the show your proof challenge. Okay. So Norris did reach out to Dan, as you guys probably know, for the Show Your Proof Challenge. It was an email, and I have it included in there too for
I
you
saw
guys
it.
to read later. And it was very much like he was kind of telling Dan time, place, everything about, like, it wasn't like a mutually agreed upon thing, which is why, and I also included Dan's request for public debate and an open invite to Norris. And Dan outlined in there like the reasons why he didn't show up, and it was because it was not a legitimate public debate. It didn't, have an agreed upon time, date, location. There was not a neutral moderator. And Norris did, I think he had like, I don't know if he had like sales or merchandise there, but that's what I had heard. I don't know if that's correct.
don't know. I
But
wasn't there.
I don't.
okay, I didn't go.
Probably was giving
Sure, he
away
had campaign
stickers.
signs and
Yeah,
everything
probably
there,
something
so
like
he-
that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
Right, and so so it wasn't like a mutual neutral type of thing. And like Dan did outline that according to the Federal Election Commission of the United States of America, that there are certain criteria that does need to be met in order for it to actually be like a debate. And so he did extend an invite to Norris and is still, I believe, waiting for his reply. And had requested it for like by I think September
Okay,
15th.
Can I continue my waxing stupid?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
If I were Dan and the sheriff who is the actual sheriff right now
Mhm.
was giving a contender a slice of his time to say, if you have anything really, you adjust your schedule and I will meet with you. If I were Dan, I would have done it. If I had anything,
Okay.
if I had the proof, if I had the documents, if I had answers, I would rearrange my entire life because it's a campaign now. for me.
Yeah.
I would, if I were Dan Wilson, I would have said, name it, time, place, I'll be there.
Okay.
Not play the games of, well, I didn't negotiate that with you. If he really wants to contend with him,
Mhm.
contend.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Why am I advising Dan Wilson right now?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like, though, the email that was sent was very much, like, sprung upon Dan. Like, it was, I don't know if you got a chance to read it. I mean, for some reason, Bob types in all caps, but that can come across as very confrontational.
You don't
I'm
know
not-
many cops, Steve.
They probably speak in
They
all
will
caps.
type out
Okay.
reports
Everything
in
in
all
all
caps.
Or
But,
print in all caps. Remember back when we
Back in
printed
the
everything?
forums, my brother.
yeah.
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 Yeah, and so, I mean, I'm sure Norris, too, would want it to be fair for himself. I think that that would be an injustice done to Norris if it wasn't fair for him also. But I don't know where we go from here, and I know...
That's why I always love the fact that he says, show me the money.
Uh-huh.
Show me the proof. Don't make accusations. Don't make hearsay. Don't make
Yeah.
innuendo. Don't make potentials. Don't make it looks funny. Give me the actual facts.
Yes.
Where have I committed a crime? What have I done? And if, give me, again, forget me now. I'm going to pull myself completely out of Dan and Bob.
Mm-hmm.
I have to deal with this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
As a pastor. Not only in a 2,000 member church, but in a community where I'm the pastor, the president of the Ministerial Association, where I'm dealing with the city and when I'm dealing with the county, with all the stuff that I do. It is constant. I am always being accused of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, show me the money. Bring the accusation. Not what you thought you heard, not what you heard. Tell me what you saw. Come and talk to me to my face.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the problem of being a public figure.
Mm-hmm.
And both Dan and Bob now are public figures.
Yeah.
And it is just so wrong. It just sets so wrong with me. For example, somebody will say, we're leaving Candlelight. And they'll say, well, did you go talk to Paul? No. Well, why are you leaving? Well, we heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys, Terry, it is heartbreaking to me. I literally have spent years crying. People I love that leave the church with a misunderstanding. Here's a perfect example. How long have you been around here?
3.5 years. We
Okay.
moved here, well, close home in 2021. We were in the area in 2020.
I'll give you a perfect example that is, it's public now probably. When we bought this building, I told the sellers that we have to have a easement for the parking lot because it was skating rink. And they weren't selling the skating rink. And I said, we have to have a crossover easement. So if you ever sell that property, I have to have foreshadowed refusal. So this is all part of our deed when we purchased it. A few years later, he calls me and says, hey, we're going to close the skating rink and we're selling the property. Do you want it? I said, yeah, I have to have it. It's not a matter of want. Even though the crossover easement was perpetual. So a new owner, somebody could have bought this property and I still had access to available parking. Now, Gold's Gym was going to buy that property. And they were going to build a gym on the parking lot, right in the front. We would have lost our parking, we'd have been out of business, just like that. I had to buy it. So I told them, we'll buy it. It was just not even a negotiation. You know, this all happened over the phone. So I called our bank and I said, I need $2 million. And they said, done. Thank God, because we had credibility, we established ourselves in the community. And so they said, but you're going to have to raise 30%, so $600,000. I said, no problem. I went back. I was in Georgia when I got the phone call. This all happened over the phone. Came back, met with the elders, says, hey, we need to buy this property. What do you guys think? And they all said, yep. So I said, we got to raise $600,000. I said, okay, let's start a campaign. I went in front of the church the following Sunday, told them what was going on, told them we need to raise $600,000. Everybody was excited. They started giving. Between Sundays, I got a call from the bank. And they said, hey, we've been crunching numbers. You can do this for 25% down. So we need to raise $500,000. And so I said, great. So next Sunday I went to church. And I told everybody the bank called me. We only have to raise $500,000. Everybody's excited. They're still giving. The next Sunday comes around. And between Sundays, I had gotten another call from the bank. And they said, we really like what you're doing. We want to lower it down 20%. All you have to do is raise $400,000. And all of a sudden, I go to the church, I tell them the bank call, I'm telling the story, everybody's excited. Ooh, wait, not everybody's excited. All of a sudden there's an uprising. Paul's just manipulating us. Paul is lying because the numbers keep changing.
Yeah.
And legitimately, it was 100% true. And let me tell you what happened. We lost probably 40 major donor families.
Wow.
We lost an income of over $10,000 a month. And in those days, that was a lot more than it is now. But still, $10,000 a month right now would put 3 or 4 of our staff out of work, just like that. We even had people meeting with the elders, interviewing with our realtor, looking up documents, every bit of documentation, and finally came and met with the elders, and after every elder, you ready, conspired to lie to cover up for me, which was no lie, said at the end of an elders meeting, I wish I had a lie detector test so I could just test all these lies. In other words, accused every elder in unity of conspiring to lie. And they all left the church and created a bunch of noise. Heartbreaking. This is what leaders deal with, and I hate it.
Yeah.
That's why I hate mudslinging, because then they leave the church, they're like the disgruntled employee, they got something to say, and people go around doing this stuff, and it's horrid. It destroys families, it destroys life. My wife, my kids are so damaged by the ministry that one of my daughters has renounced her faith. She renounced her faith. She lives in New York. She won't even talk to me. 3 years she hasn't talked to me.
Wow.
My other 3 kids struggle terribly with, they're believers, but they struggle with the church and people and, Christians, I don't want to be around them. They don't have to.
Well, I can tell you that we've just been an advocate for you.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, seriously, even when talking with Dan, because we just love you and love your messages
Thank
that you
you.
give, and we are with your passion, and, we saw you, get choked up on stage a couple of Sundays ago about somebody.
Oh, it was about, the Lake of Fire, I think, right?
I
about
don't
the lake.
remember,
Oh,
and you just had
Mr.
to,
Patterson.
Yeah.
Why didn't you
Yeah.
tell me?
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But,
I-
we are an advocate for you, and
That's
you
why
know,
we came to talk
that's
to
why
you.
we
appreciate
came, and really, you might see this part of Dan, but we see this other part of Dan. In the question of what is important in his life, Jesus Christ is first in his life.
Where does he go to
Jesus-
church?
He doesn't
Doesn't-
right now.
And
There's a lot to that.
There's a lot behind that, Paul, really. And
I think I know some of it. Can I tell you what I've heard, and
And
you
it
can
could-
tell me if it's true?
yeah, and I might not know it.
Okay.
We might not
Okay.
know
Yeah,
all of
again,
it.
Just-
this is for our conversation.
Yeah.
What I've heard is that he was a evangelical Christian, and then he became a Catholic. And then, as a Catholic, he had an affair with his assistant, divorced his wife. His present wife was his former assistant. Now they're married,
Oh.
and he got
No.
excommunicated from the Catholic Church because of it. I'm
That's-
only giving
yeah.
you the
Yes, I
rumor
know.
mill. I know, of
Yeah.
course, you know
See,
how.
that's what you've been subject
I know.
to.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm saying
So
it stays
I'll-
in the room. I don't talk about
Yeah.
that.
No, and
all
that's-
you know,
that's
as
not
far
accurate.
As what I know is completely false.
Yeah.
He has a beautiful spirit, I don't know what we were talking about recently or one time. I don't talk to him very often, but I loved his message when I went to the Reagan Republicans. And I saw the verbal attack by so-called KCRCC members, just really at him. And he was very strong and composed and handled it himself so well against such hate being thrown at him.
Mhm.
But and I don't know where I was going with this because there's so much in my head.
The
but
rumor
he-
mill and the gossip and the accusations,
Yeah,
I get
and
it.
and
I get it.
it
That's why
was
this
just-
conversation has not left my lips ever.
And there's just he has such a beautiful story. You're an advocate for John Padula, and there's so much more there with John and his beautiful spirit and everything. And sometimes I see the lashing about people attacking John, but
Mhm.
those same people are attacking Dan without
Mhm.
knowing Dan.
Mhm.
And that's why we came here to advocate, because, you know, maybe his, what he looks like on video could come across a little bit different, but he is really like, he almost aligns like so much with you, honestly.
Like, I was
but-
kind of surprised to find out he didn't go to, like, our church, because he's very much, like, a straight up type
Yeah.
of guy when
This-
you know
I
him.
will admit, this has been one of my, you know, you talk about what perceptions look
Mhm.
like. I've thought to myself the same thing.
Yeah,
Well, if he's really this, why isn't he here?
right.
And-
And or for example, why didn't he come to the Jim Jordan event? I mean, why, of all the places in the world to be, as a campaigning future potential sheriff, I would have never missed that. Because everybody that would be the strongest advocates for conservative values would have been in this room that night.
Oh,
And he
okay.
wasn't here. I was looking for him.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if he's even going to be on the cruise for Russ Fulcher that's coming up next Friday. I don't know any of that. So I'm looking at all these things as an outsider, and again, a guy that hates politics, and
Yeah.
all I can see is mudslinging and lack of credibility from my vantage point.
Yeah, and I would say like almost with that email from him, and I don't know why I'm getting a strong headache, and I'm like, what's going on in my head?
Oh, sorry.
But,
We have ibuprofen
two wrongs don't make a
and
right.
ivermectin.
Yeah, that's good.
That two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
You know, and I think there's so much more commonality because he's a very private person, and he's, you know, we all say Trump has fault. He stepped up. You know, he doesn't have to do this for the country, but he's doing it. And I feel the same way with Dan.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about Trump now.
Yeah.
Were you here when I talked about, I was asked to be the pastor to represent the
Yes,
state of
and
Idaho?
I respected your
I said,
Decision, yeah.
I can't do it. So, my advice to Dan, since you guys will probably reflect with him on this, take the high road, do the right things, stand for what you believe in, and don't create your campaign as a smear campaign.
Mhm.
And he'll get much farther. He won't win this election. It's too late, in my view. The sheriff will win. And in part, the reason the sheriff will win is because of the way Dan has handled the smear campaign factor. And that doesn't mean that Dan doesn't have maybe a lot to offer our community. It would be so much better if we could find a way to work together.
Yeah.
I could see myself running that one direction. I don't know where this came from.
I want to have the girls get you some ibuprofen too. Why don't I pray and we'll just call it? I
Okay.
hate to do that.
That's
but
that's fine.
Well, is there anything that you want to say to him on that?
That's it. I mean, yeah, thank you for your time.
Are you
I know
kidding? I love
I
you
know
guys.
it's just like a lot and it's a heavy topic, so I
It is.
appreciate
It's just
all.
sad for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want us to have to be in this condition. And for example, if I knew
Mhm.
John Padula was going to lose, did I actually think he was going to win? I didn't. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
I made myself the adversary to the sheriff.
Mhm.
My friend, Bob Norris, who is my friend.
Yeah.
I made myself an adversary to him because I sided with my other friend, John Padula, against the candidate that he wanted.
Mhm.
And so I just don't play the political games. I have loyalties. And my loyalties right now are with Bob, in spite of him.
Okay.
Read that well.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
This guy has never let me down. If I call him and say I need something, he's there. If he needs something, yeah,
I'll
sorry,
come
Sorry,
Sorry.
we'll let
I
you
can
go.
come back up.
Okay, come back up and we'll pray,
Okay.
okay? And so, from my vantage point, I'm reiterating, the idea of our being able to find ways to work together and to be stronger as a result is a very big deal to me.
Yeah.
And again, I'm only giving you my perceptions. Who's going to listen? Where did he come from? Why did he come here? Why is he attacking our sheriff? He's my friend. I don't know anything about this guy, and he doesn't have the respect from me to come to me directly.
Mhm.
And forgive me again, I'm going to say this. I carry a lot of weight in this town.
Mhm.
I would think that would be, if this guy was wise, he would have said, I'm going to get to Van Noy before I get to anybody. So forgive me for that. That sounds terribly arrogant.
Well, I know that because you're known for taking a stand. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm being careful about this in public on Sundays.
Mhm.
Because we have people in this church that I love dearly that are divided over this. And
Yeah.
I don't want Candlelight divided.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And pray. Just
Yeah.
pray. And I, because you know, we have some very, very wonderful people that go to this church that are very outspoken in favor of Dan. And they've approached me too, just like you.
Mhm.
And I said, look, here's my position. You guys do what you feel convicted to do. You have my applause. Do what
Mhm.
you feel good about. We got no issues.
Right.
But I'm going to leave it alone there. So,
Yeah.
on another note, Heart of Hope.
Oh, I actually haven't been over there.
Did you back away?
I was kind of like wanting to help out with that,
Okay.
but I know when they first got going, they didn't need physical therapists, and that's what I do. I'm a
Okay.
physical therapist in the hospital, and so that was going to be kind of like maybe later on, but I just never.
I just
Heard the
couldn't remember all
developments.
the details of our earlier visits.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that whole thing has gone in a direction that I didn't expect,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So
Cool.
yeah, but
I hope your mom's okay.
I know sometimes she gets migraines, so I'm wondering if it was that, like,
Jenna!
because I know her like back has been hurting recently, so I don't know.
I'm sure we didn't.
Yeah. I know so much talking.
I
but-
hope you know I'm not being adversarial.
No, I
Can you
know.
get us some Advil? A couple of, and a bottle of water.
Oh, there she is.
Anyway.
Still have a headache?
Because I have something I'd like to say really quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
please.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, and then I would love to pray. I know we went way longer, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope it's
sorry about
okay
that.
with you guys that I was this transparent too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we
I'm sorry it took up
appreciate
so much time though,
You know
because
what?
like I
It's
was.
worth it to me. You
Okay.
guys are worth it to me. That, and again, like I was saying, in this church we have people on both sides of this. I want us to be able to strongly believe and support what we want to do without dividing the church and dividing the church family. You guys know how close I am to Eric Reed.
Yeah.
Reed is like one of my best friends in the world. He hates Bob Norris. I mean, how can you go further than that? And yet, Eric and I are buddies.
Yeah.
I want it to stay that way. Absolutely want it to stay that way.
Mhm.
All right, Davalu, my apologies.
No, no, no.
You have
no,
the final
this is your
word.
show. This is
No,
your show.
you have the final word.
I just wanted to say that I think this has been amazing
Me
because
too.
I think we have lost this in our society and in politics today. That people with differing opinions can sit down
Mhm.
and talk.
Yeah.
Because as I was growing up, this is what we did.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I also want to commend you for getting involved
Yeah.
in politics, both of you,
Yeah.
but especially you because you're younger. It's us
Mhm.
old farts that take things with opinions.
What are you, 40?
Well, me. Yes. But one thing that I want to challenge you to do that I don't see a lot in young people today, and it's something I learned in school when I was growing up. I did debate a lot in school.
Okay.
And what they would always do is, if I was, say, anti-abortion, then I would be assigned to be pro-abortion in the debate.
Yeah. Look at the other
Look at the other
side.
And it's like, no. But
It's the
then
best way to learn.
Yeah.
it is the best way to learn because it strengthens your position. And I grew up in a family that was very legalistic church. My mother never wanted me to visit other churches with my friends.
Hmm.
And I believe that you should question
Everything.
everything,
Yeah.
including what you're being taught in your faith.
Mhm.
Is your pastor biblically
Amen.
sound?
Yes.
Right.
And he will never, I'm going out on a limb, but I think I know you well enough, he will never condemn anybody for saying, well, why do you believe that? I believe this. It show me.
Yeah.
And I
Welcome
think,
to Wednesday night.
exactly, I like that, yeah. And so what I would send you forward with a challenge, not only with Dan, but just in life. You should know Dan Wilson as well as anybody can if you're going to advocate for him.
Yes.
You shouldn't have to read off a piece of paper. You should know what he stands for and why he stands for.
Yeah.
You should also know your sources
Yes.
and understand whether that source is credible, not only in and of themselves, but in the community.
Right.
So, like, how do people view the information that's coming from Teresa Roth?
I think it depends.
Who is Teresa Roth? What is her background? Because just being a researcher, if you're not an objective researcher, then you're going to get slanted research. And that's what we have in society now. We have all these different organizations that are and they want you to believe, well, just because I say it, it's right.
Right.
If you massage the data long enough,
You'll
it will
get what you
confess
want.
to anything.
But what I love books with footnotes, because that way I can read something and go back and where did this come from?
Yeah.
So I would challenge you to be that person.
Uh-huh.
Don't adopt somebody else's attitude or their opinion. No, and I'm not saying she doesn't do that, but I'm saying no. And you should question people, and if they are upset with you questioning them, because I will tell you, for example, I know a lot about the helicopter unit, and I have questioned the crap out of that whole situation to the point that I'm satisfied. And I know why I believe, and I can point to why I believe that I believe. And I think that's what you should do.
Yeah.
On everything, including not only Dan Wilson, but whoever you vote for.
Right.
And if you're going to defend somebody, like if I defend Pastor Paul, I'm kind of staking my reputation on him.
Sorry, that's going to help your head. They're on the roof working, sorry.
The biggest complaint I've seen about Dan from people that I know, I would love to know how he's going to do what he says he's going to do.
Yeah.
And nobody can figure out. I've tried to figure out. I've tried to make it to events. I can't. Do you know Liberty?
Yes.
Liberty and I had a conversation, and I
Dan's
said,
kid.
I would love to talk to your father. He said, my father will
Dan's
get in touch
kid.
with you. And I've never gotten a phone call. I want to be able to say, well, I don't know what Dan's going to do. I'd like to say, well, Dan's going to do this. I may still not for years, but I know what Dan's going to do. And then I can say my opinion of whether or not I think it's a good or a bad idea. But none of us, including me, know how Dan's going to put together this sweeping plan that sounds great. But can you do it, and how are you going to do it?
Right.
So that would be that's my advice and my compliment to you. I think it's great that you're out hitting the pavement and for the campaign. I think that's great, because whether or not we agree or disagree, we should take a step.
I love it.
Yeah.
The town square, let's have conversation.
Amen.
Yeah.
And no contradiction to you, but for a physical therapist, I think that it should say Monica Martinez Esquire.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
Because you had a systematic process, and if you hadn't been interrupted by me, you would have been making your case point by point by point, and I want to commend you for that.
Yeah, well,
And
thank you
I do
for,
agree.
Yes, of course.
thanks for
Can I pray?
talking.
I hate
Yeah.
to do it, but I have people in the lobby
Yeah,
now,
we've taken
and
a lot of
another
time,
crisis I gotta get
Oh,
to. So.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry about that light bulb. Lord, thank you so much for these beautiful women. Thank you for the opportunity for us to have conversation. I just pray that you would translate all of this information down to the grassroots of our hearts and our love for you, our love for each other, and our love for our community. Lord, I do pray for your blessing upon Dan Wilson and on his wife and every person that he's working with. that your grace would rest upon him powerfully and mightily, Lord, that you would place him exactly where he needs to be in the healthiest possible position. And likewise the same for Bob and for Susan. Lord, let your grace be upon them. And by all means, Lord, when there is a need for a adjustment in our persons, in our behaviors, in our attitudes, in our agendas, in our missions, do please, Lord, adjust us. We thank you. Bless Terry, bless Monica today. Use them for your glory, we pray. Bless David and Dave. Use them as well.
No.
Thank you.
You know, when we
Thank
first started
you.
coming to this
Thank you.
church, you know, I talked to her before, but I
Sure.
introduced you
I
to
appreciate your
Monica
input
for
too.
that.
Very good.
Sure. Well, and I'm always learning, but I'm that why person.
Yeah.
Well, it was part of hope, but
Yeah.
something else was
Yeah,
started.
exactly.
That's why
Very
Yeah.
it's a weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Thank you, Pastor Paul.
thank you.
Thanks for your time
Thank you
and
for your
listening
time.
and
Yeah.
being
Oh my
open.
gosh.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
and side note, if there is a debate or if there is anything that going on forward, do you want me? Oh, that was my copy here. Where's your copy?
Can I have that?
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Where is my copy? Did you stick it back in the envelope?
No.
That's empty.
Maybe.
Oh, you know, I bet I picked. Did I pick it up? I did pick it up. My
That's all right. Here,
apologies.
just
No,
keep
I
it
don't-
all for me, will you?
Yeah, if there is anything forward, like, I don't know, if we get someone agreeable to moderate and everything, can we contact you or?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure where it'll all go at this point.
yeah, okay.
But I think that open conversation is always healthy.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. Open conversation is good.
Yeah, all right.
You gave me some new organizations to look into that I don't know anything about.
Yeah, and there's like there's a lot in those packets, so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for
God
your
bless
time.
Well,
you.
thank
both.
you. Thanks for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
And,
And I appreciate you. And I will say this. Eric Reed remains my very close friend. I love him dearly. And I want the same for you too.
Yeah, and he knows because my sister is married to one of his coworkers. That's
Okay.
And they
Yeah.
come here. We
Yeah,
all,
so-
you know, we're here.
Well-
Karen's, I have a nonprofit that supports law enforcement, and Karen is my volunteer coordinator, or my fundraising coordinator.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah.
I love Karen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
we love
Eric,
Eric.
has some
and Mike.
legitimate gripes.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm not discounting that there is legitimate gripes.
mhm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. you
Okay,
guys.
awesome,
With
thank
everything,
you.
right? With every aspect of stuff.
And there will be legitimate gripes against me.
Yeah,
I'm an imperfect man.
yeah.
And arrogant, as you found out.
All right, bye.
Bye, thank you.
sir. Talk to you later. Love you
Okay,
too.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys. On to my next meeting.
No, I'm
Yeah.
like a double fisted drinker here.
That's good. We got motto.
Oh, yeah, that feels better already.
I've only had a few migraines my whole life, but yeah.
Oh, I used to have them. I dove into the shallow end of the plan. And ever since, sometimes I just get them. Like, crazy.
Yeah.
So again, I want to apologize for my tone of voice because I know
Oh, no, you're
sometimes I
fine.
come
You're
off as
law enforcement.
confrontational, but I am like,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's just me.
Yeah.
I hope we have no hard feelings. I
No,
wasn't trying to
no.
attack you at
No,
all.
I didn't feel that. I
Okay,
just
okay.
like I didn't know who you were and I didn't know
Sure.
what the like intention was or
Yeah.
who you were representing or anytime you just
I'm not.
to be able to get through it.
not representing anybody.
Yeah.
I'm representing myself.
Yeah.
I just like Paul said. He's got a special deputies. He's got his own special deputies
Yeah.
that try to advise him on topics he doesn't have time to
deal with.
To
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah.
And my background. I mean, like I said, I was in federal law enforcement for 30 years. I did 6.5 years at the AG's office over in Washington doing civil tort stuff.
Oh, wow.
Last 15 years of my federal career, I did sex crimes against children. I've supervised groups that did immigration enforcement and sex crimes against children.
Yeah.
So that's me, and I kind of got involved in politics here a little bit. I was the president of the Republican Women for a while.
Yeah.
Until it didn't align with what I could do.
Yeah.
I resigned in February, so
Yeah.
Well, here's
Well,
a busy
that's
lady.
my life.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to sit down and talk to Dan, or even just to be able to do a Q&A kind of thing with him. But the only event I've ever been able to go to was at the altar one night. It was the same night as Norris's kickoff party.
Oh.
And I went to the altar, and I had to leave. He did this long video of him going to the border, and then he got up and started to speak, and I wasn't able to stay for the whole thing because I had another appointment, and so I didn't get to ask him any questions. And all the other events that he's had, I had something else, like the one at Hayden Library. My nonprofit had a booth at Taste of Coeur d'Alene, and I had to be down there. So, I just have never been able to have an opportunity to ask.
Yeah.
The questions that I have, I can't find answers to on his website or in his podcast or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat an incumbent too. It really is hard to beat.
I think I admire him to be coming forward against that, and he feels it in his spirit, to do that. So I admire that, taking it on. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for your time.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. I know you're
course.
probably busy
You're
today,
busy.
so.
I remember when
I gotta be busy. I don't want to just sit at home and waste away.
Well,
Yeah.
well, it's like on Monday nights, Monica and I used to come, and I think you and your husband used to be there. I don't know if you would still do that, or it was like, gosh, a year or two ago, wasn't it?
Oh, was it the
Was it-
Constitution one?
Yeah,
I
or
forget.
even, and then I remember someone questioning you on something, and I just always loved your haircut too. Oh, she's law enforcement, because you brought up something, because we're law enforcement family.
Oh, there you
too.
go. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
so-
guys for that, because the whole
Yeah.
family serves.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am glad that I am no longer in law enforcement, because this country just makes it so difficult to do that.
Yeah.
And so
For sure.
underpaid.
Yeah.
And
Just so
undervalued.
underappreciated. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I started the nonprofit, was for law enforcement. We want to show that the community does still value us.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
because the guys and girls that serve on the street, they should have nothing to do with politics or
Yeah.
policy.
Right.
They're out there putting their lives on the
Oh,
line. And
every
it shouldn't
single
matter.
day.
It
Yeah.
shouldn't matter what your political affiliation
Right.
is. You should still, as long as they're doing the best they can and not
Exactly.
violating people's rights, obviously.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
they should be supported.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Yeah.
Although it's hard to when there's so many services at church.
Yeah.
Oh, you go to church there too?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good day.
You guys too.
Bye.
Your headache gets better.
Oh, it's getting better already. Maybe I just needed more water.
Bye.
I hope you didn't mind me speaking up.
No, that was good. That was weird. That was so weird. I don't even know what just freaking happened.
I know.
That doesn't even. That was weird.
Well, I think that we really didn't get
To do
anywhere.
what we. No, we didn't really get to do what we wanted to do.